Welcome to the Wealth Empress Podcast with your host, Lucie. This is the space where purpose-driven entrepreneurs are invited to rise into their full power, expand their wealth, and build thriving empires in their own terms. As a wealth expansion mentor and business strategist, I guide visionary women to scale with clarity, purpose, and ease. I now help leaders build a life and business that generate true wealth in every senses. It's time to step into your power, embrace your unique path, and unlock the wealth that is waiting for you. Let's rise together. So in the last podcast, I was sharing that I would talk to you about my last 10 years in business, and I deviated to something else, which was actually pure, beautiful channeling. I just wanted to come back to that 10 years and I feel like the big milestone that really led me to where I am now, and in realizing also the before 10 years, everything that happened before. And I have some tears coming up because I can feel the presence of my godmother that passed away last year. And she said something to me when I was young. I think I was 8. I feel like the name that always come to me, the number that always come to me is 8. And she was saying, like, if you're in school and someone, like, if you, I don't know how she worded it, like, basically, if you see a question and you want to answer, always listen to the first one that came. That's what she said. Always listen to the first one. And I remembering what she said and like not following that, and realizing that when in a test and answered the second thing I heard, because I second guessed the first one, and it was wrong, and that test, it was not correct. And weirdly enough, not weirdly actually, now that I know, that was actually the first thing that I heard that was the right thing. And it's about that build up for me of my intuition, also that big step into recognizing my clairsentience, my clairs, being a psychic. That has been such a profound shift that started like really embodying it in 2022, which is not so long ago, but it feels like a lifetime, because I've been doing that for lifetimes anyway, but like that in that current lifetime is quite short. But it's that really deep sense of, like, it's the acknowledgement was 2022, but it was definitely before that. But it's that real deep sense of, I actually hold the power of my own decision, of my own life. Knowing this, you also need support. I really appreciate having a mentor holding space, because it really helped me just like expand at such rapid pace. When you are in the room with someone that in a way believes in you, because there is part of the growth that you're going to go back into doubt, and you will be like, you're not sure going to really believe in yourself. And having someone that is there to really trust that what you said last time, it's the truth of your decision, and holding you to that and reflecting this back to you, my goodness, such a big catalyst, because the truth is the truth of your own truth is your own truth.
What if there were a way for you to link body, mind, spirit under one roof? This is what I created. I created Domaine Privé, which is a 3-day immersion where we get to really lead you to unlock your true wealth senses. Each day we'll build a next step. We will start with the body. We'll start to unlock the body, really working with the somatic part of yourself, so you can actually activate the vibration of yourself. So we can actually work on the rewiring the next day. The rewiring is more like, it's more mindset and energetics that we're going to work on as well on the second day. And then on the third day, we're actually going to be really tuning into your intuition. The intuition is where the idea comes from, where your soul is actually speaking to you, and where you get to activate the impact that you want to create in this life. But actually it's going from down to up, so we can actually have a clear channel, and that's going to be Domaine Privé. 3 days together where we're going to really, really, truly unlock your true wealth senses. And I'm so excited to have you here. If you're interested in joining us, please DM me. There is limited spots, and I'm looking forward to invite you in.
Reflecting back then on the last 10 years in business. As I said in the last podcast, I started as a photographer. I actually didn't say that in the last podcast, but I started as a newborn photographer. I used to photograph babies, and actually I think it's the first or second shoot that I really did. I actually realized that I actually like photographing mom more than baby. Even though I still love photographing babies, but that was not the same thing. Babies is really creating art in some ways for me, but like photographing a woman is really, it's different. It's building something differently. It's really a different path for me, a different frequency as well. It's still creating art, but it's also creating art and making you touch your higher self, which is so gorgeous. I started as a newborn photographer and I moved to women photography. I also have to learn my own craft into photography. And I actually remember, I think it was not like it was a year or two in business that I went to a retreat. It was like a 3-day retreat, I believe it was 3 days. And I remember sharing a room with someone, a photographer, that actually photographed me that year or the year before. And I remember, like, as we were sharing the room, and she asked me, do you think you'll be a photographer for the whole long haul? And I said to her, at that time, I said, I don't know. And I actually was saying that, I got very scared of answering that. I was like, why am I investing so much time and blah, blah, blah in doing so if I'm not sure? And reflecting back into what had happened is like, it's actually because photography was one step and it's still one step. It's still one of the medium that I absolutely adore. I love sitting and watching people photograph other people. This is my thing. It's just a story. It's the most beautiful storytelling you can ever create. I feel like, personally at least. It's just, I remember that, and I remember how much extremely heavy that became seeing that, because I was like, oh my god, like that judgment of the self. But actually photography taught me so many things in terms of business as well, learning about pricing yourself in the price is the price, and learning like pricing yourself in terms of value instead of the product. And that actually led to being the most expensive photographer in Ireland. It's not like most expensive, it's like my pricing were the most expensive in Ireland for the type of work I was doing, but also the service came with it, because that was for me. It's like, I want to give you so much, so I like the price were reflecting that, because I really wanted to have that spaciousness and not build any resentment with working with you. That was something that was very deep within my bones, because within resentment you cannot create correctly, you cannot offer, and you cannot serve in the capacity you are supposed to be serving people. That is interesting that this came back with I don't know if I would be a photographer ever, because I remember I said to her, and how about you? And she said, oh yes, I would. And it's interesting, it's still doing this, just fully this, and it's just very interesting the way I shifted a little bit. I haven't retired my camera. I definitely in my higher private sphere, higher private offers, I do offer photography, but it's very, very, it has shifted a lot in terms of what I really want to lead you into that higher self. And then it's really leading yourself to a photo shoot that's going to lead you to the next iteration of your higher self, which is so cheeky of me, I think. Very cheeky, because they're like, I arrived, and I was like, yeah, but there is more. It's something I absolutely adore, because it's something I used to photograph when I was doing portrait and branding. And I remember saying that to my client. I was saying to them, like, I don't photograph you for the you today, because it's already in the past. I photograph you in what you want to be in 18 months, because I want those photographs that reflect that growth in the next 18 months. And sometimes it was shorter, sometimes it was longer, but it's just like that, really, where do you want to be in 18 months? Who is that big big bold version of you. Who is she? Let's photograph that, because I don't want you to photograph you with that current iteration, which is already, as I said, it's already in the past. It's already something that was created. It's the result of what was created. Let's create bigger. Let's go higher and higher here. Because if we actually go into that real bold, crazy, and quote unquote, but like crazy big idea, it's where you get to choose to feel. And it's where the growth and expansion and the wealth is coming, because you're really leading yourself with your soul. You're really leading yourself with what is in your true deepest desires in many aspects. So this is where like the branding was something that I did like doing in that, but I did like doing it this way. I was not photographing you for you today. I was photographing you for you in the future, because the point for you is actually reflecting back to that photo and like working with that frequency of like who she was, really helping you expand. And I'm like, so many people rise. It was just, oh my God, even thinking about it now, I'm like, oh my God, that was, oh. And I still meet some of my past clients, and they still talk about it, which is amazing. And I had like recurring clients as well sometimes. I had like musician, I had coaches, I had what else? Well, I really had a lot of coaching industry, but I also had makeup artists, I had hairdressers, I had entrepreneurs in actually men and women. There was so much area of things, and it was I loved it. It was just the most I loved the photo shoot part. I really loved it. There was the most with the consultation, that was the most amazing things. That's a reflection of the 10 years moving into personal portraits. Also offering my client the opportunity to have the family coming over, because it's also the part of their own identity. In 2016, something big, really, really, really big happened. It's a bit of a trigger warning if you have kids. In the end of 2016, I personally met myself with my shadow. That's the biggest part of my shadow. It never ends, but that's. That it was me really hating I can't keep going like that. That's kind of what I felt I sent to the universe, and the universe really sent me a frank, not physical slap in the face, but that was close. I got attacked in a car park by a family man who has his wife in his car. It was literally bonkers. I can't even I left with scratches of blood in my hands, and he left with he wanted to leave with my plates, the plate of my car. It was crazy. And it's just I did not recognize me the way I acted on that day, and I had to go through the understanding of what happened, and the realizing that all the options that usually when you are in a situation of stress or of danger, you have different options. You have the fight, flight. We usually say fight or flight, but it's actually for fight, flight, fawn, or actually play dead. And I could not play dead, I could not fawn, and I could not run away. So I had to fight, and I really got extremely scared by the way I could go through defending myself. Literally, that was what happened. And this was the fight response, but it was defending myself. And I really got really scared because all the things that flashed into your mind. This is what that was the real door opening for my spiritual awakening, my awakening of I can choose. There is things that I can choose. And whenever something happened with not conscious choosing, I get to choose again. This it's a part of it's really minimalistic of approach, but it feels it's for a podcast, that's enough. But this is what really, and then when this really big door happened, coming back to realizing that I had those little pebbles that were really paving that deep breaking, And it's really where like everything, like if not everything, but a lot of things really shifted for me in terms of where I really wanted to lead myself, even though I didn't have those words at the time. But it also realizing how much of still doubt and fear I had within myself. Even I've been watching a video of me that I did in 2017, 2016, and I listened to her, and I really see I really see the cheekiness of me. Like, I really, this is something I personally love by myself, is the cheekiness. It's that, like, I was listening to her and I was like, oh my God, she's like, there is so much. I could still hear what was in the head of that. Not good enough. I'm not talking enough. I need to be this person. I need to be embodying that type of person, that archetype, and trying to fit in someone else's shoes. Like seeing it, like the photographer that I was talking to you about, I really loved her, like in the aura, really loved her. But like I don't have her personality. She's a very more down to earth, quiet, and I'm not that quiet. Well, I could be quiet, but I'm a bubbly person. I'm a cheeky person, and I'm talking with my hands. And I remembering seeing that video of having me like very straight in my shoulders, very like holding myself so straight. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm realizing now, like I was like, this is like, if I would actually have, like I was myself reviewing this video, I was like, if you just put your hands back closer to your body and just start to talk, everything will shift for you. And it's not like, it's kind of like a very short minimalistic again approach of what really happened, but like it's one of the things is like really letting my let my body talk. I'm probably have some blood, Italian blood, probably not, but the way my family goes is definitely not in that aspect of Europe. But anyway, it's just really interesting, is that the idea of having to have everything prepared and known by heart, that is actually not congruent with the way I learn and the way I'm actually integrate information. And then I actually went to places and like having that like speech completely written down and like extremely to the point, and to even the comma, and realizing that every time I did this, I lost my train of thought. I lost myself. I just stumbled upon one word and like everything like fell in the toilet, and I was like, oh, what did I talk about? Because I didn't have that self-leadership, that self-trust, that whatever I want to share with you is what I'm going to share with you. And sometimes there is bullet points, because there is things that I'd like, oh, I'd love to talk about that. There's the bullet points, but then nothing else is really written into it, because if I actually go into bullet points and reading into it, there is a sense of fruition that does not happen, because I love channeling. This is the way I love to, the way I feel like it's such spacious and easeful is being and doing this way. So I have an idea and I just create and blab about it. Literally. In the beginning of my business, I was still working full-time. So at the beginning it felt unachievable to do whatever I wanted to create, until a day it was just like, I'm going to work on the weekends, and that worked for me. I was actually working for a lot with my clients, because I was photographing on Sundays, and Sundays is personally energetically such the most gorgeous day ever, because when I photograph on Sundays, there is not, you don't feel the, like at the time I did not really know, but I was really tapped into the collective and the collective energy of everyone, the frantic of like, oh, it's Monday, let's go to work. And if I feel like it was actually got really extremely clear when the pandemic happened, how much like the frequency really, like, it's not the frequency, but like the frenzy really just like went from up to really down, and realizing that, oh, it's actually, that was Sunday, but now it's every day, which is very interesting. But now, like, really with the tools that I've been working on, it's not something that I really tap into completely. I do have days that it's just like I don't have my guards up and I'm just getting immersed by it, but it just doesn't feel like congruent with my sole purpose, because I cannot be immersed in that. If we really want to raise consciousness with the world, we do need to be conscious of trying to get the highest frequency possible for ourselves, so we can actually really take everyone up as well. In the last 10 years, I also like realizing this, so it's just 10 years. Feels like a long time, it feels like a short time as well, because realizing that I also have 6 years old, so it's basically the first 4 years were crazy, and then it got crazier. Really is. And like even like, and then I just, when I had my first baby, like everything like really fell on the floor. Like really, I was not understanding where I was. I did not understand everything. Like I really lost myself. And I feel like most people like who really be diagnosed with postpartum depression, but I didn't feel that was the postpartum depression. I thought it was something else. So I think when when my daughter was not even 6 months, I went to a 3-day retreat again. That's my thing. I love retreats. And I went to, and actually love hosting retreats. It's something something I absolutely adore. And I went to a retreat of 3 days, and my daughter was still breastfed, and I remember like those days and how vulnerable I was really, but there was something within me that is like, you need to be here. And I went there, and there's so many things that really happened, realizing that the birth of my daughter were, because we usually say made into mother, but like made into mother did not happen on the day of my daughter's birth. It actually happened when she was nearly 6 months old, because of the traumatic birth I experienced with her, like not her, but like the experience of the birth, and having to deal with all that trauma, and like releasing so much of the doubt and the untruth and all of those kind of things. But like this was such a catalyst retreat. But I feel like every retreat are the most catalytic part, is the way we are really expanding and collapsing time and space. It's like in retreats we collapse it even like 100 times faster than anywhere else in the world, because it's just very condensed. But the frequency of that transformation that is held within that time is crazy. But I remember every day of that retreats, even though I was kind of sleepless nights, and like not sleepless night, but like very like I had a 6-month-old baby that was not really sleeping throughout the night, and I was still breastfeeding. So it's I can remember all of those days, and I remember how much heavy I personally felt with myself, and how now like I can tune into that and realizing, wow, I'm actually not like, I'm not that person. Not that I'm not that person. It's like, oh my God, I've done so much work, because the person that was me in 2019 have evolved so much in 24, and it's just 5 years. It really is just 5 years. It's crazy. In 5 years, and two more babies in the mix as well, and a pandemic, and a partner that was sick, and all of those kind of things. And it's just like, yeah, the made into mother really happened a later time for me, and with my first. And also the denial of, there was part of me that was still wanting to be independent, even though I did choose to have a child. I really planned to have a child, but there was part of me that was actually, with the work that I've done, it was actually based into my own domestication of like independent woman is the most important part of you. You have to be independent, you have to do this, blah 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 blah. And I trusted it, just did not question it. I trusted it, and realizing that afterwards, like weaving into motherhood, the mother energy is actually, there is seasons to it, and sometimes the season is not right now. Is not being independent, is actually depending on someone in the most wealthiest way, like, because if you are leaning into interdependency is like really able to receive the other person for what they have to offer you, and compared to codependency, and really enter that season in codependency. And so I was not really assertive, my own leadership, my own power. It's me, like that was my work to be done, and it's still like it's still a work to be done, like new layers of things to happen as well. But there's just that level of receiving, and that level of receiving as well in a partnership is, I feel like when you have a child in the mix, there's a lot of things that shift. When you were the person that were able to, for many things in your life, being able to manage on your own. I need this, I do that. I need this, I buy this. I need this, blah, blah, blah. And now at the point of like, actually, I need this and I can't do it because I have a child to take care of. I need this and I need that, and not voicing it out. It's not always about receiving through money, but it's also about time. And time is such the most precious time. Luxury, like I said that in another podcast, but luxury of time is the most important thing. We kind of like in that season of having a small child, you kind of tend to like realizing, where do I carve time for me? And also, who am I? Am I allowed to do this? Am I not this and this and that? Like all the lies that you can't say about yourself, or about the desire that you want. And also sometimes realizing that it's the season, and sometimes what you desire is just a delayed gratification. You have to go through that season, and what you desire will come. The last years, because I feel like, we're saying like, oh, the last and that, but it's the collapsing time. It was really happened the last 4 years, I'd say, like a bit less than 4 years, where I really I felt pregnant with my twins, where like the death happened, in the terms of like the ego death, the identity that I was of a mother of one, being able to travel everywhere, because my daughter at first 1 year old, she had like 10 planes, and then like fell pregnant in the pandemic, so actually everything shifted anyway. And just all of those kind of things, but like being pregnant with twins really shifted a lot for me. And I'd like, if actually you're a twin mom, please let me know what was your experience, because I feel like it's such a, not a crazy different experience, but it's different, because you don't have one child to take care of, it's two. And it's not, we were talking about carving space for yourself, but like when you actually literally have two babies that have their own cycles, plus myself, I had a toddler, so it was like, whew, that was a handful of everything. And also wanting to some ways escape, like was what happened, it was like really some way that I wanted to escape that life, because that was too much, too heavy, too intense, to something else. And I really went all in the new shift of my business, because photography was not happening anymore, because with 3 babies, very small, with a stick partner that could not really take care of them in a long term, like in a long amount of time. I could be gone for an hour or two, but I could not do a full shoot day like I used to do, because he was not able to do that, to take care of the kids. That was the season we were in at the time, and I was such in denial. Like now, like even saying that out loud is, it was just like, it's crazy how much in denial I was, and how much I pushed and pushed and I pushed and I pushed and I pushed, to a point of breaking. Like by break, that was like the point of breaking had to happen another way, because I was not listening to all the signs. And when I say the point of breaking, it doesn't mean that I just completely stop everything. It's just like I just pulled the breaking of like something has to give, and what gave up was the business. That was what had to happen. I was like, okay, I can't do this right now. It's just not congruent with my life, and it's not the way I want to serve people. It's not the way I want to show up. And if I cannot show up the way I want to show up for people, it's not worth it. Because serving, like really high frequency luxury serving, for me is the most important thing ever. Like it's such, how to say this, it's the priority. It's the true priority, hands down. That's the most important thing. If I cannot offer you that, I'm not offering it. So I went to a point of breaking down in 2022. And after like pushing it for two full years, and what really happened was that the assertiveness of my own power, of voicing out, that was like completely didn't, like I had my voice activated, but some part of it was not. And really voicing out what really happened, like what was, like I was like going to push and going to push and push and push into not the wrong direction, because there was actually the, and on hindsight, that was the right move for me to actually unleash and like, oh, okay, let's just free will right now. Not free will, like, I don't know, it's, I'm using French word in English that makes no sense for you, but it's basically when you are biking and you just pedal, and you just stop pedaling. It still moves, velocity of it. And the breaking down really happened through money in my business. I had a substantial amount of money in my business, and all went like in fumes. And the bigger lesson was the power that I really like. I was teaching on, not teaching, but like that's the biggest thing that I want to teach you. And it also, as a teacher, sometimes you fail in your own teachings. That's part of life, unfortunately. But this is the big part of the expansion I had to go through. I was not listening to the cues, so I had to go be like, okay, you're not listening. You desire that, and if you desire that, this is going to be that step you need to take, and I'm going to kind of force you to do it because this is what you desire. And I completely drained all my money, like personal money, my business money was like, to a point that on the 4th birthday of my first daughter, I had to scrap for 200 euros, I think, for giving her the birthday party. That I know it sounds like crazy, but like I wanted to do it something within the kids' place, and it's just like, yeah, it was just a mental time, crazy time, but we got through it. Thank God. But this is the important thing. I feel like it's just not, you never make wrong decision, but sometimes the decision feels like wrong decision because there is a lesson in it. You need to sit down or not. You need to consciously think about it and work through it and realizing what was it. And for me, it was my power. My power were, I came into an entity, like a mastermind, a business entity, disempowered at first. My frequency was already disempowered by entering it, and I let myself being disempowered. I never chose again. I just decided that was that, instead of like taking my power back and that's it. This is enough. And this happened to be like, it should be voicing it. My power was like, I can't do this anymore because there is no more money, and that's it, so it's something, a story, it might be a story for another time, but it's just, that was my biggest catalyst to really embodying power, even though I did have touched power, my own power, in many senses, but like this was the next key piece of like, I never enter spaces if I'm not in power. If I'm not in power, I'm leaving, because there is something that make myself vulnerable, but in the sense of like not making the right decision because I'm not leading myself. I'm letting myself being led. And when it's in the bedroom, being led is lovely, but like when it's in your business, you are the one leading yourself. You are the one making the decision. You're the one leading your business. You're the one leading your decision. And you cannot come into your business. You cannot come into spaces in a disempowered way. That's a huge disservice for yourself. It's a huge disservice for your clients. It's a huge disservice for your business, and so on and so forth. And yeah, so really tapping into your power, your boldness is the most important part of you. It's the most important part of where you want to lead yourself, where you want to lead your business, and also want to grow into the capacity deep down that you're capable of. And also the capacity of like, you touched your big dream, your big vision, and it's for you to grow into that big vision and then some, because when she's arrived, you have a new version, a new vision that comes up, because that's a big milestone that the first journey, and then there is another journey after that. So yeah, I'm going to leave you with that today. I hope you have a lovely day, and I talk to you soon. Bye guys.